Hi everyone, thanks for visiting my channel. My name is Tasha and today we're going to work through the Dusty Sprinkles scarf, and in the pattern I use Karen sprinkle cakes in the colorway Mocha Rainbow. This is a 6-weight yarn. You're welcome to use any 6-weight yarn you'd like, and in the pattern I use an 8mm hook, which is an L hook. This is one from Knit Picks, which is a really great hook. So let's get started. Grab your hook, your yarn, and whatever fancy beverage you like to drink, and let's get to it. Okay, so we have here, I'm using my L hook, L11 with, that's an 8mm. I've got my Sprinkle Cakes yarn, which is 6-weight. You don't have to use a 6-weight. If you use a lighter weight, then you're going to have a smaller or a thinner scarf, which is perfectly fine because it's all completely adjustable. So what you do first here is we're going to do a slip knot, and then we're going to do a foundation single crochet of 22. A foundation single crochet is pretty easy. You're going to go ahead and chain 2, and then you're going to work back into the first chain, yarn over and pull up. You'll have 2 loops on your hook. Then you're going to chain 1, and you're going to yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. And that's basically your first foundation single crochet. So in order to work the second stitch, you're going to go back through the bottom 2. You're going to yarn over, pull through. You'll have 2, then chain 1, and then finish off your single crochet like normal. So basically what it is you're working the chain and the stitch at the same time, which is a really great technique. So let's do it again. You put it through the, when you do a chain, you have 3 facets of the chain. You've got 1, 2, 3. So you're going to work through the bottom 2, and I like to grab onto them so you can kind of know where you're working, where you're going to put the next stitch. So you can grab onto them like that and then pull through. And so I will speed up the video so you can work on that, and then when we get to 22 we'll come back and you can pause it if you need to. I'll see you back in a second. So now I have 22, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. And for row 2, I consider this row 1 because you're completing your chain plus your stitch at the same time. For row 2, we're going to start off by chaining 2, and then we're going to turn it. Then we're going to skip the first stitch, which is the same as your foundation chain. The same as your chain 2. So we're skipping that one, and we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. And then we're going to chain 1 and repeat that to the end of the row. So you skip the stitch, single crochet in the next, and then chain 1. Skip, single crochet, and chain 1. I'm going to speed it up again, and then when I come back, we'll start working row 3. So when you get to the end, you chained 1, we're going to skip this and do a single crochet in the very last stitch. Always count your stitches at the end of each row. $22. So for row 3, we go ahead and chain 2 at the and then turn. And then we're going to skip 1 stitch and single crochet into the chain space. So we're going to skip this first stitch and then single crochet into this chain space. The chain 2 counts as, since we're skipping a stitch, it actually is really a chain 1 skip, a chain 1, and then the chain allows for the skip stitch. And then we're going to chain 1 after we single crochet into the chain space, and we're going to skip this stitch. And then we're going to repeat the pattern. So it's going to be a single crochet in the chain space, chain 1, skip 1. Single crochet, chain 1, skip 1. Single crochet, chain 1, skip 1. There's your skip stitch. We're going to go ahead and chain 1, or sorry, single crochet into the last stitch. And let's count our stitches. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 22. So we're good. Now row 4 has the special stitch, which is a pineapple stitch. It's a very simple stitch. It's not complicated at all. So let's start that. We're going to chain 2. We're going to turn. Then we're going to skip this first stitch. We're going to be working into the chain spaces. And so what you do for the pineapple stitch is you yarn over, you insert your hook into the chain space, grab it and pull it up, and then you yarn over, insert your hook again into this chain space and pull it up. At that point you'll have 2, 4, 5 stitches on your hook. Yarn over, insert, pull up for a 3rd time, and you'll have 2, 4, 6, 7. You're going to pull through all of those, and then you're going to chain 1. Once you do that, we're going to skip this stitch, and we're going to yarn over and repeat the pineapple stitch. So you yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, insert, and pull up a loop twice, pull up for the 3rd time, and then pull through all and make a chain. And you can see it creates a really cool kind of a bobble, kind of a puff. You're welcome to pause the video or fast forward through this part as well. Make sure you keep your tension loose. I'll speed up a bit. This stitch takes a little bit of extra yarn. And you're going to go ahead and work into the very last one. Okay, so we've reached the end of this row, and we're going to count our stitches, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. So we're going to go ahead and chain one, and the next is going to be row 5, which is just a single crochet row. And we're going to single crochet in each stitch, beginning with the very first stitch. And when you do these single crochets, don't single crochet into the chain space. Go ahead and single crochet into the top 2 loops of the stitch. This pattern is so easy to work that once you get the hang of it, these rows are going to go really easy for you. And the best part is if you have an Etsy store or something like that you'd like to sell, this is a great scarf to sell because it works up so fast. And you could probably bust out, I don't know, maybe one or more a day, I'd say. Probably more than one a day if you're a crochet addict like myself and like to crochet and crochet all day. But make sure you do those stretches because your shoulders and your collarbones will scream at you if you don't. And work into the very last one. Or is that my last one? No, that's not my last one. All right, let's count these. And we've got, that's not it. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. Okay, so we have our pattern repeat going on. And once you finish row 5, you're going to repeat rows 2 through 5 and continue on until you reach the length that you would like your scarf to be. And for my pattern in the sample, I have about 12 rows, 12 of the pineapple rows. And of course you end with your row 5 single crochet row. And so once you're finished, you don't break your yarn. You're going to leave it as is, and we'll begin working the braids. And the braids just come directly off where we ended row 5. And they look complicated, but they're not. They're fairly simple, and I'll walk you through all that. So let's get working on the braids. The first thing you do is you're going to chain 20. I need one more. So once you have your chain, it's going to look like this coming off the end of your scarf. And we're going to work single crochets in the second chain from the hook all the way back down to the base. So that's a pretty easy thing to do. So I'm going to speed up the video until we get down to the base. There should be 19 stitches. So we've got 18 and 19. And what you do here is not that complicated, actually. We're going to be working back this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip this main stitch on the body, and then we're going to slip stitch into the second, like that. And then we're going to chain one and turn, and we're going to work back up that chain. And what we're going to do when we work back up it is we're going to do front post single crochets around each of the 19 stitches. So this is the last single crochet stitch down towards the bottom. So a front post, you insert your hook behind it and back out the front, yarn over and complete your single crochet just like normal. They might seem intimidating, but really front post stitches are really easy once you get them. So we're going to work that all the way back down. I'm hoping to have my own beginner series available soon as a secondary way to learn for my students here in Memphis. I'm trying to get those videos done actually prior to me teaching classes so that they have a good resource, and obviously the resource is great for everybody out there on the internet too, the interwebs. You work around the very last one. We should have 19. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Oops. 2, 4, 19. I counted wrong. That happens because we're all human, right? So when we get to the end right here, this is going to be considered row 3. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn again and work back down. You can see the front post creates that cool ridge. And then we're going to front post around each single crochet, going back down to the base. And I will speed this part up. I'm going to count them. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So there's one more to go around to keep our stitch count the same. So there's 19. And so what we do now, and I put in the pattern, don't forget the last stitch because it might not be a stitch, but we still need to keep it 19 throughout. So we're going to skip a stitch on the main body and then slip stitch into the next. And you can see it's creating our tails. So that was row 3. What we do for row 4 is we're going to slip stitch again. This is beginning row 4. Slip stitch into the next stitch of the body and then chain 20 and work back up again. Okay, so we have 20, and now we're going to, for rows 5, 6, and 7, you basically repeat rows 1, 2, and 3. And I'm probably not going to show the rest of that in the video, except for the patterns end up changing a little bit for row 8. So I'll do this and then we'll speed it up and then come back when we get to row 8. Okay, so I've completed all of the tails, and I was mentioning row 8 before, and the difference between row 8 and row 4 for being in between is you do an additional skipping of a stitch and then another one into the main body. So refer to the pattern for that to complete these tails, and what we're going to do next is weave them together, and then I'll show you how to attach them all at the top in order to create the braid and also the buttonholes to put your tassels in and your buttons. And see, I've attached some toggles, which I really like, but you can put any kind of buttons you want, or you don't even have to put buttons if you don't want, but it's completely up to you. So let's pause and come back. All right, let's work these tails. So it's a little confusing at first. I hope that it's not too confusing, but I've kind of labeled them starting from the left side to the right is 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to take braid number 2 and we're going to lay it on top of braid number 3. And then we're going to take braid number 1 and put it underneath braid number 3. And then we're going to take braid number 4 and lay it on top of all of those. And then take braid number 1, which is right there, and go ahead and lay that on top of braid number 4. And so now we're going to, now that we have our little braid pattern, we're going to attach them together and then crochet along the top in order to create those buttonholes. So we want braid number 4 to actually be on top of braid number 3, and we want braid number 2 or braid number 1 to be on top of braid number 3. Okay, so there we go. And that's going to be our pattern. What we're going to do is we're going to start right here and insert our hook into the top part. And if you want, you can do it kind of on the side of the stitch so it leaves a better edge, which I think is kind of nice too, instead of going straight through the tops. All right, let's do this. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and attach our yarn and pull it through and then chain 1. Then we're going to work 4 single crochets through the top of the braids so it kind of meshes them together. It doesn't have to be even or perfect. It's just, unless you're one of those perfectionists and you want it to be perfect, you can totally do that. Sometimes it's hard getting it through these when you're working with a thick yarn like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches through the top. And so now, like I was saying before, we want braid 4 to be on top of the, what is that, braid 3? And we're going to do the same thing and just work straight across. So just hook those on there, single crochet over, try to pull it tight so they come together. If you can see that in the back. Woo, I'm sweating. So we've got 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Am I counting wrong? I think I did count wrong. Frog it. So we have 4 for that one. So there's 1. 2, 3, 4. So we should have 8 now. 2, 4, 6, 8. I don't know what I did wrong last time, but I made a mistake, and that's okay. Now we're going to start row 2 of the top part. So we go ahead and we chain 1 and we turn it. I'm sorry, chain 3 and then turn and work a single crochet in the 7th chain from the hook. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And single crochet there. And then single crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to chain 2, skip 2, and single crochet into the last. That creates your little buttonholes there. You can omit those on one side for the toggle buttons. If you want to have just a more stable base to sew your buttons on, either way is fine. Or you can even do a few more rows of single crochet and then do this buttonhole row later on, so you have a little bit more stability there too. It's up to you. Let's do the tassels. So here you're going to go ahead and cut it and then tie it off and weave in your tails. And the tassels are optional, but I really love them. I cut my tassels. I made a really long, I think about 20, maybe 27 inches for my tassels. And the way that you work the tassels is I wrapped around this piece, so I'm going to deconstruct it for you. I tied it in a knot, and so I hope everybody knows how to attach tassels, but you can see once you get your long pieces together, insert whichever side you want your scarf facing up to be your right side, and you want the band to be facing outward towards you. So you insert your tassels in this way with the hole like this, and then grab it through and pull it, and then you pull it tight. And you can organize your bands on there to make them look as neat as you want or as messy as you want. I kind of like them looking a little neat like this one. So once you do that, then you go ahead and just tie a knot with these. And I kind of tied this knot like where I brought it up and forward like that. And kind of laid these on top. So it made another kind of like a little button right there. And then I went ahead with another long piece and made a wraparound. And so, and this can be as long as you want it to be too. You wrap it around several times over and over. And then I did a fisherman's knot on the back side of it. So it creates a kind of a cool little triple tassel thing going on there. Like that. And see, I laid them over so they looked neat. And then the fisherman's knots in the back. It's kind of scruffy looking, but I like scruffy, so. And when you're finished with that, like I was saying before, you can make this a solid piece, so you can attach your buttons there, your toggles. And for this scarf, there's a couple different versions. I made a different version, and I'll put that at the end of this tutorial video so you can see the different types of braids. I did another one using Lion Brand's Woolies yarn, and it turned out really awesome. It's really big, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Head on over to my blog for this free pattern, and yeah, give me some thumbs up and likes, please, if you like it. Any comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. All the links you need are down below as well in the description. And I'm really enjoying making these videos for you guys. And tag me on Instagram. Tag me with Stardust Gold Crochet. And I'd love to see your creations from this pattern. All right, take care, y'all.